Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. Every like on this video is another person joining in the fight against entitled parents, so make sure you hit that like button. And our first story of the day is by the Rolling Crones. Entitled parent asks where my handler is. I'm in a wheelchair, and then tries to grab my chair and wheel me off. I'm 25-year-old female, a full-time wheelchair user due to a rare condition. This condition makes my legs extremely painful from the knees down, so painful that if even wind or rain touches my skin, I want to cry. Rain feels like 1,000 needles pricking my skin all at once. Another thing is that I can't feel the cold very well. This is important for later. Due to the extreme pain, I'm therefore not able to wear shoes, socks, or anything covering my legs. I have to wear shorts all year round. I'm originally from Norway, but I currently live in South England. So the winter in England's nothing compared to what I'm used to. Now on to the story. This all happened at some point during the winter of 2019. I'm very independent and I do all my shopping and errands by myself. I needed some new winter clothes and went off to the nice cheap retail shop in England. I'm listening to music with my headset on and I'm not really paying any attention to the people around me. Another thing to note is that literally everyone stares at me. I've seen multiple people walk into things, walls, pillars, etc. just because it's so strange to see someone in a wheelchair with no shoes. I've gotten used to this as I've been in a wheelchair for about 10 years, so I'm used to people staring and constantly asking me if I'm cold. Most days I have no issue and I ignore these entitled people. But this one lady stood out. I was looking at a jumper when I saw a nice child looking at me. He was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I understand that for small children, it can be a bit strange to see someone in a wheelchair. So I'm always happy for them to ask questions and they're happy with simple answers. Most kids are generally trying to just understand and learn. They're not being nosy or rude as most adults are. The nice child asked, "What happened to you?" I told them, "My legs hurt and now I can't walk on them." The child says, "Oh, is that why you're not wearing shoes?" And I say yes. The child runs away smiling. I'm thinking he's happy with the answers I gave him. About 5 minutes later, someone pokes me in the back. I turn around to a lady trying to get my attention. I turn my music off to see what this is all about when I see nice child behind her, and the conversation goes something like this. The entitled parent says, "My son is saying you're not wearing shoes during winter because your legs hurt? You must be freezing, you can't be dressed like that during winter." I say yes, he asked why I was in a wheelchair, and I answered him, and he seemed happy with what I said. It's okay, I'm Norwegian, plus I can't really feel the cold, and today it's not even that bad. I also have a condition that makes it impossible for me to wear shoes. I'm trying to be nice to get her away from me. A lot of times people leave me alone once I answer a question or two. They say, "You can't be in this shop and not wear shoes or more clothes. It's setting a bad example for my child and he thinks it's going to be okay to not wear shoes. This is unacceptable." I say, "Well, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about that." I'm about to roll away when she steps in front of me. She says, "I've never heard of any condition that would cause that. You must be lying." I say, "No, I'm not, and it's none of your business how I'm dressed or what's wrong with my legs." She says, "You can't speak to me like that. Where's your handler? They can't just leave you alone dressed like this in the shop. How are you supposed to get home? I need to complain to this handler that they're not taking care of you properly." I say, "Excuse me? I'm here on my own, and what you just said was extremely rude. Even if I had someone helping me, they're not my handler." She says, "You don't get to tell me what I can call people helping people like you. Either way, you need to tell me where they are right now." Poor nice child is trying to pull his mom away. I feel bad, so I come up with an idea. I say, "I think my handler is upstairs. They're in a red shirt and wearing a blue hat." She says, "Fine, I'll just have to find your handler and they'll deal with you." She's smiling like this handler's going to punish me or something. It was super creepy and weird. It's so unprofessional to leave someone like you all alone. Never mind not dressing you properly. They should be fired. Entitled parent tries to grab my chair and take me with her. I shouted at her to get her hands off me and put my brakes on. Nice retail worker comes over to see what's happening, and before I can explain, entitled parent shrieks over me that nice retail worker has to look after her son while she's getting my useless handler. Then she walks off, leaving nice child with us. I quickly explain what happened and that I just want to leave without confronting her again. Nice retail worker says that she'll handle it and looks after nice child until she's back. Nice child seems really sad, so I make sure to tell him that I'm not angry at him for asking questions or anything else, and this seems to brighten him up a little bit. A bit of a boring ending, but I still can't believe someone asked me where my handler was. The entitlement of some people. I have so many stories of entitled people who think they're helping when they're just plain rude or just scaring me. For those of you that have never experienced what it's like being in a wheelchair, could you imagine being somewhere and someone just starts grabbing the handles and pushing you somewhere? Without your control, the only thing you got is maybe brakes? It's a pretty terrifying thought, right? What do you guys think? Is this a new nightmare we've stumbled into? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Tubist61. You honestly think this is for anyone to ride? Some preamble to set the scene. I'm really into cycling and have been for many years. I started riding back in the 1970s when I was really young. I come from a family of road racers, so it was sort of inevitable. I also live up to the rules of the Velominati, especially Rule 25 about the bikes on the roof of the car being worth more than the car. Having saved up, I bought my dream bike, a Cervelo Caledonia 5 with Dura Ace Di2 electronic gear shifters. This bike cost me almost 11,000 British pounds. A couple of months ago, I heard of an event running around 50 miles away where a company was launching a few of their new bikes. I decided to spin over and have a look just out of interest and set off. It was a great ride over, and when I arrived, there were a few other riders I know, and we set off looking around the bikes on show. I locked my bike onto one of the racks and took one of the newly launched bikes out for a quick circuit, had a chat with the tech guy from the company, and then unlocked my bike. Cue entitled mother and her entitled spotty teenager. She says, "Hello, can my son have his turn on that bike now?" I say, "What?" She says, "Yes, you've had your time on it and my son wants to ride on it, he really likes it." I say, "Sorry, he can't ride this. Perhaps look at some of the bikes the company brought." She says, "No, we saw you had your ride on this bike, now he wants a turn. You can't monopolize the bikes." Her son then made a grab for my bike and pulled it from my hands and tried to ride off. Now, his first mistake was not realizing that I have very specific lipless pedals, and without the correct cleats, you're not going to get that far. Second, I left the bike in a very high gear. It's a cafe stop thing. It's almost impossible to set off quickly, and it's one of my ruses to help avoid a snatch and grab theft of the bike. I grabbed the little jerk and pulled him off my bike and just stopped it from falling on the floor. One of the team running the demo came over to see what was going on, and entitled mother went off in true form. "This man just pushed my kid off your bike when it was my kid's turn to ride it. I want my son to have his ride on this bike now." The bike guy says, "This isn't one of our bikes. Our bikes are all over there. This is the visitors' bike park area." She says, "Why is he riding this bike then?" Pointing at me. I say, "Because I'm the one who owns this bike." You could see the cogs turning as she realized what was going on. Then the fake smile broke out. "Oh, I'm really sorry. I thought it was one of the demo bikes." I pointed to the manufacturer's flags all around the demo session, and I pointed to the name on my bike. "Does this look like it was made by the company running this session?" Entitled mother playing dumb says, "I'm sorry, I really didn't realize. It's a nice bike though, and my son's thinking of buying one. Can he try yours out?" I say, "I very much doubt he would be buying one of these, but I'm going to need your details." She says, "Why?" I say, "Well, your son, supported by you, snatched a bike worth 11,000 pounds out of my hands and tried to ride off on it. I'm going to need to know who to send the repair bill to for any damage he caused." She went white, then tried to argue that there was nothing on the bike that could cost that much. The bike guy from the company assured her that there certainly was. We called the PCSO who was at the event over and explained everything that had happened. He obtained the entitled mother's contact details and passed them to me. I told her I would be in touch later and then had a ride back home. No damage was done to the bike, but I did sting her for a full service at my local bike shop. I think she can play dumb all she wanted, but judging that the kid grabbed the bike and tried as hard as they could to take off, it seems very likely that this was a little bit more than a test drive. And if not, then it's surprising that they were so blatant in just taking something and trying to just speed off on it. Like, if it was a demo bike and you knew it belonged to somebody else in any situation, you wouldn't yank it and try to speed off on it. So I feel like there's definitely something underhanded there. And our final story of the day is by Mishiga Kerr. Entitled mother interrupts lunch and gets arrested. Obligatory, this happened a few months ago, not today. The cast is entitled Mom, Embarrassed Daughter, Cool Dad, Manager of the Restaurant, and Tech Dude. Tech Dude's a former coworker turned good friend and semi-retired. Think the dude from Big Lebowski, had a master's in computers and electronics, a bit of a mad scientist, shake thoroughly, and you pretty much have Tech Dude. So I'm a field guy for a large communications company. One of the services we provide is wireless calling. I'm not customer facing, just one of the many individuals who make it all work. I had happened to take a day off, though I did have my work phone on me just in case. I also foolishly grabbed a zip-up hoodie with the company logo on the sleeve on my way out the door. Tech Dude calls me up asking me to come grab lunch with him sometime when I'm in the area. As I was actually around the corner from his summer abode, I mentioned the restaurant down the way on the water because they have outdoor seating. I get to the restaurant and Tech Dude's already seated sipping on a Shirley Temple, with another one set aside for me. Yes, we both enjoy these drinks. Maybe it's the kids in us, but we're both driving, so no alcohol. I don't pay much attention to the other patrons, just head straight to the table signaling the waitress I know where I'm going. After our greeting, a big, "Hey Kerr dude, how you been?" and ordering of the daily special, and appetizers delivered. Tech Dude gets down to his latest personal projects, asking my thoughts along the way. My work phone interrupts. I answer with company name just in case it's a test call, before directing the caller to a coworker who would be able to help them that day. After hanging up the phone, I hear a Fran Drescher-esque voice somewhere behind me. "Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, sir, sir," and suddenly feel the presence of a person behind my right shoulder. I turn and have to look upwards to see a large Karen of about mid-40s, complete with a haircut that can only be described as "make my hair look like the body of a chicken, complete with backside. No feet, neck, or head." Standing about 8 inches off the back of my chair. I think to myself, "Holy heck, woman, have you ever heard of COVID?" Even though I'm fully vaccinated, I still don't want her looming over me in my personal space. I say, "Yes?" She says, "Did you say you worked for the phones?" Pointing at the sleeve of my hoodie. I say, "Yes, I do. Today is my day off, but I might be able to." She cuts me off saying, "You need to help me right now. My lunch is being utterly ruined by my daughter's ex-boyfriend," and dramatically points to her daughter who's trying to hide her face with a menu. There's no one else at the table. Embarrassed daughter says, "Mom, please." She says, "No, I'm going to get this stopped once and for all. It's harassment." The daughter says, "Mom, please let those two eat. I can handle it." Entitled mom says, "No, these two work for the phones and I'm going to make them stop this immediately." Tech Dude says, "Hey, I don't work for the phones or you, lady." She says, "Of course they wouldn't hire anyone like ya, ew." Tech Dude shoots me an F her look. I say, "I'm not able to help you. I'm not in customer." She says, "I demand you block him from harassing us now." I say, "Ma'am, I'm sorry you're experiencing this, but you need to call." She says, "No, I won't call anyone. You can do it. I need you to stop him now." I say, "Even if I was working, I wouldn't be able to stop him from calling her. I simply..." She says, "Don't tell me you can't, and he's nonstop texting, not calling." Me seeing that my current approach isn't working says, "I'm sorry that he's doing that. You should advise your daughter to block his number from her phone. It would be the easiest way to stop his communications." Entitled mother says, "He keeps changing numbers. You need to," poking me in the chest as she said "you." Both Tech Dude and I stand up. I see the manager rushing towards us out of the corner of my eye. Entitled mother immediately switches gears and says, "Oh, I see, take his side. I'm a loyal long-term customer. I'm going to call your boss and get you fired." As if spelling out fired in a sing-song tone would change my answer. The manager says, "Ma'am, you need to return to your table and leave the other customers alone." She says, "Oh, so he won't do his job and I'm the one who needs to leave him alone? Don't you know who I am? I'll have your job." Tech Dude, manager, and I all share a "I have no flying clue who she is" look. Embarrassed daughter has the menu over her head face down on the table. I feel sorry for her. The manager says, "Ma'am, you need to sit down and leave my customers alone, or you can leave." She says, "I will not sit down. I can't enjoy lunch because he," points at me, "won't do his job." Again, doing that sing-song spelling bit. The manager looks at me with a, "Is there anything you want to say" look. I say, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I simply don't have access to accounts, and..." Entitled mother tries to interrupt, "And even if I did, there are very specific rules for making account changes." Entitled mother tries to interrupt again, but I keep going. "I can't just block someone because you interrupt my lunch." Entitled mother tries again. "Furthermore..." if he keeps changing numbers to avoid blocks, that, as she tries to interrupt again, that is harassment, a legal matter. I would suggest getting a no contact order and recording anytime he does attempt to contact her. Embarrassed daughter quickly walks off towards the front, trying to cover her face with her hands, and what I can see of her face is ketchup bottle red. Entitled mother starts again, and this time I just let her go. Bulls, that's just bulls. Bulls, bulls, bulls. You just don't want to do your job. I know you can block him. The manager signals something to one of her waitstaff. Ma'am, this is your last warning. These two have been more than kind since you have interrupted their lunch. I will call the police if you do not sit down or leave immediately. She says, fine, but I'm calling all of your bosses. You're all going to be fired. Then sing-song again. You don't know who you're messing with. I mean, really? My kids stopped that when they were 5. We all sit down, embarrassed daughter still missing, and I've repositioned in order to be sure entitled mother can't sneak up on me again. Manager apologizes and offers to move us inside while she checks on the rest of our order, but we decline moving. I notice that all the waitstaff are staying off deck. Only the manager's coming out now to help with other customers, avoiding entitled mother. Entitled mother obviously notices this too and is getting more visibly unsettled, trying to bring other customers into siding with her. Tech dude sees me watching the situation and offers a, hey, screw that witch. He almost never swears, so I know he might as well have been saying she should see you next Tuesday. I signal the manager over and quietly request that she send someone to check on embarrassed daughter. I was truly concerned about her mental state. The manager informs me that she sent someone and is currently making sure all of her needs are being taken care of. Then she smiles and says she'll be right back. As the manager returns with our plates, the bartender with 2 uniformed officers in tow walk onto the deck. The manager nods and all 4 approach entitled mother. From what I can hear of the conversation, the manager was the daughter of the owners, and they were going to permanently bar entitled mother from the premises. The bartender comically takes a picture of entitled mother, then the police inform entitled mother that embarrassed daughter will not be leaving the restaurant with entitled mother. Cool dad would be picking her up. This sends entitled mother into orbit. Entitled mother tosses out a few, you can't do this, it's their fault. Don't you know who I am? She's my daughter. Among other not so kind sayings, flinging her arms, pointing at us, and getting louder and louder. Finally, there's a brief scuffle. She ends up in cuffs and gets let out of the restaurant, complete with cheers from most everyone else on the deck. Embarrassed daughter returns to collect what's left at the table. She approaches us apologizing for her mom's behavior, says she heard that I was concerned about her, and thanks me for my kindness, and says that cool dad wants to pay for our lunches. We declined, but cool dad did it anyway. I think the best part of this story was how cool, calm, and collected everybody not named entitled mother was being in the story. They were thoughtful, decisive, and surgical about how to treat and react to entitled mother. Although things might have gotten a little testy, they never once stooped to her level and let her act out her little 5-year-old charades while just asserting to her the facts of the situation. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.